Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. The first thing I felt wasn't the fire racing up my spine. It wasn't the hospital smell, sharp and clean, or the steady beep-beep of machines keeping tabs on me. It was Chloe's face, floating above mine. Her mouth made the shape of worry, the kind you practice. But her eyes, they were miles away, cold and hard like pebbles in a frozen stream. Right then, drugged and fuzzy, I saw the truth I'd been dodging for months. My name is Mark. I'm 38. I built a tech security company from scratch. My whole life has been about finding weak spots, fixing problems, making things safe. Funny how I couldn't secure the most important thing, my own marriage. You're awake, Chloe said. Her voice had that smooth, practiced warmth, like a hostess welcoming people she wished hadn't come. Doctor said it went well. I tried to talk. My throat felt like sandpaper. She didn't get me water. She checked her watch, the expensive one I bought her for 10 years together. Need to sort out your care, she said, already turning. Rest. That was the real start of my waking up. 3 days later, they sent me home. Titanium in my back, a wheelchair under me, and a wife who barely hid how much she hated this. The car crash smashed 3 bones in my spine, messed with the nerves. Recovery, months, maybe a year, maybe never fully. Our house, this fancy 3-story place I designed overlooking the lake, suddenly felt like a jail. Stairs were mountains. Getting to the bathroom was an obstacle course. And Chloe? She became the warden who didn't want the job. Hired a nurse, she announced that first night back. Part-time, 3 days a week. You can't. I have things to do, Mark. What things? I asked. Honestly, I didn't know. Chloe hadn't worked since we got married 12 years back. She called herself an interior designer, but her only jobs were for friends, and I'd quietly paid for them. People need me, she snapped, slamming my pills down on the nightstand. The world doesn't stop just because you had an accident. I bit back the angry words. Something felt deeply wrong, worse than just the stress of looking after someone sick. I'd seen that look in her eyes before. About 6 months ago, I came home early from a trip, found her scrubbing the house like crazy, changing sheets, throwing windows open. I told myself it was nothing. Now, I wasn't so sure. That night, alone in the guest room, Chloe decided our big bed wasn't good for my recovery. I pulled out my laptop. I logged into my home security system, remote access. Most people don't know I started my company after someone broke into my place years ago. Left me jumpy, needing security everywhere. Cameras hidden in smoke detectors, sensors that look like thermostats, trackers in our cars. Chloe knew about the outside cameras, some obvious ones inside. She didn't know that after that weird day 6 months back, I'd added more, hidden ones. My hand shook over the file. House_interior. Was I really doing this? Spying on my own wife based on a bad feeling? But then I remembered her eyes in the hospital. Cold. Empty. I clicked. The recordings from the last few days didn't show much at first. Chloe moving around, talking low on the phone, the sound just out of reach. But I saw patterns. She spent ages getting ready hair, makeup, fancy clothes, then claimed she was just getting groceries or meeting friends. I switched to the GPS tracker in her car. Forget Whole Foods or seeing her friend Melissa. Her car was parked at the fancy Four Seasons hotel downtown. Multiple times. For hours. Just last week. My chest felt tight. Not surprised exactly. More like confirmed. Like getting bad test results you already expected. I kept digging. There were gaps in the video feed. Times the system seemed to glitch. Except my systems don't glitch. Someone turned them off. Someone who knew the code. For days after I got home, I found out. I pretended to swallow my painkillers, the strong ones that usually knocked me out cold. Slipped them under my tongue. Got rid of them later. Then I waited, faking deep sleep when Chloe checked on me. 11:43 p.m. My phone buzzed silently in my hand. Motion alert. Master bedroom. I pulled up the live feed on my laptop. Chloe, standing in front of the big mirror, wearing black lace lingerie I'd never seen. Expensive stuff. She wasn't dressing like that for a husband who could barely feel his legs. Her phone pinged. She smiled at the screen, typed something back, walked into the closet out of sight. I switched camera views. She was picking out a dress. Spraying perfume, my favorite, the one I said reminded me of when we met. My heart hammered like it wanted out of my chest. Back to the bedroom camera. She answered her phone. Yeah, leaving now, she whispered, glancing at the door. He's totally out. Those pills knock him out for at least 8 hours. A pause. She laughed. A low, ugly sound. I know. He's more useful unconscious than awake. Wish he'd just stay that way. Another pause. Her voice dropped, but the mics I'd hidden picked up every poisonous word. No, David, I mean it. You have no idea what it's like. Bathing him, helping him use the toilet. It's pathetic. Doctors say maybe a year till he's normal. If he gets normal, I can't. I won't live like this. David. The name clicked. David Carter. Lawyer. We'd had dinner with him and his wife, Emily, just 2 months ago. He'd seemed a little too interested in Chloe back then. Okay. I'll be there in 20, Chloe went on. Got a surprise for you. She hung up, checked herself in the mirror one last time, and slipped out. A minute later, the garage door opened and closed. I sat there in the dark guest room, shaking, not from pain, not from weakness, from rage. A clean, white-hot rage that burned away every doubt. I took a deep breath, opened a new, secure folder on my laptop, named it Consequences. For 3 weeks I lived 2 lives. By day I was the helpless husband, grateful for Chloe's care, which got colder and rougher each day, sorry for being a burden, drugged up and foggy. I made sure to seem weaker than I was, played up needing her help. Sorry to bother you. I'd say, my voice thin, asking for water. Therapist says I'm getting better, but it's so slow. These things take time, she'd reply, not looking at me, shoving the glass into my hand. Gotta run out. You okay? Of course. I'd force a weak smile. Where you off to? Just errands. Nothing important. At night, while she was out, usually with David, I worked. I gathered everything. Video clips. Recorded phone calls. Tracked her spending. She'd been using our joint credit card for hotels, fancy dinners, charges for jewelry, men's clothes, things I'd never seen. I hired a private investigator, an old client who owed me big time. He got photos from angles my cameras couldn't. Chloe and David holding hands, kissing, going into the hotel, eating at restaurants where people we knew might see them. Brazen. Then there was the money. Using my company's software, I found big chunks missing from our joint account. Over $75,000 in 6 months. Paying for their secret trips, gifts for him. Worst were the recordings. Chloe and David laughing about me, planning their future, talking about how long they should wait after I recovered, or if they should even wait. He's so pathetic now, Chloe said in one recording, her voice dripping with disgust. I look at him, I feel nothing, just revulsion. You did your duty, David's smooth voice answered. Nobody would blame you for leaving. A guy in his shape, it's not what you signed up for. The money's tricky, she sighed. If I leave now, I might not get what I deserve in the divorce. What she deserved. The words echoed in my head while I built my case. Sorted evidence, cheating, stealing, cruelty. In physical therapy, I pushed myself harder than the doctors told me to. Every jolt of pain was fuel. Pretending to be weak at home, I was secretly getting stronger. My therapist was amazed. Your recovery's incredible, Mr. Keller, she said. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. What I was doing was turning betrayal into strength. Building myself up for the storm I was about to unleash. Week 4, I could stand for a bit. Week 5, a few steps with a walker when I was alone. Chloe never noticed. Too busy with her other life. Too sure I was helpless. Phase 1 started on a Tuesday. I picked Tuesday because David's wife, Emily, volunteered at her kids' school then. David would be at work. Their house empty. Plain envelope arrived for Emily. Inside, proof. Photos of David and Chloe at the hotel. Times matching when they both lied about where they were. Screenshots of texts I recovered. Bits of recorded calls where they mocked their spouses. Credit card bills showing David buying things for Chloe. Proof the affair started before my accident. A short note. Emily, you deserve the truth. There's more evidence than this. Protect yourself and your kids. Signed. A concerned friend. Phase 2 kicked off that night. Chloe was supposedly having dinner with her sister, who lived states away and hadn't spoken to Chloe in months. I called my lawyer, Marcus. Mark, he said. Been a while. How's the recovery? Complicated, I replied. Need you to be very, very quiet about something important. Marcus was sharp, ruthless, and kept his mouth shut. I'm filing for divorce, I told him. But first, I need something else done. Legal, but creative. By midnight, Marcus, my finance guys, and I had moved most of our money, house equity, everything major into a special kind of trust. Protected the assets, but technically we both still had access. The catch? You needed both our signatures to take money out. Given my condition, Chloe would have to prove I was mentally sound and agreed to any withdrawal. Good luck with that. Chloe got home at 1:30 a.m. I was waiting, in my wheelchair in the dark living room. I heard her stop dead when she saw me. Mark, what are you doing in the dark? I flicked on the lamp beside me. Couldn't sleep. Pain. She relaxed a little. Thought I just caught her coming home late. You should have called. I'd have come right back. Would you? I asked, keeping my voice level. Something in my tone made her freeze. Of course. I was just grabbing a bite with Angela. Huh. I nodded. Funny. Angela called here around 9, looking for you. Sounded worried when I said you were supposedly out with her. Chloe's face went white, then red. Oh, a misunderstanding, then. Must have been. Must have been. I agreed, turning my chair. Help me back to bed? I'm wiped out. Her hands trembled, pushing my chair. She was spooked, but thought she'd dodged a bullet. Didn't ask any more questions. She had no idea the hurricane was just starting. Next morning, a text from a blocked number. She knows. Emily had opened the envelope. What happened next was even faster than I'd hoped. Emily, turned out she used to be a prosecutor. No tears, no screaming matches. By noon, she'd pulled her kids from school, called her old law firm buddies, filed for divorce, and got a restraining order against David for emotional abuse. The evidence I sent gave her all the ammo she needed. David got served the papers right in the middle of a client meeting. My investigator said he stumbled out of the building, white as a sheet, frantically calling Chloe. My cameras caught Chloe's reaction, the blood draining from her face, pacing like a caged animal, throwing things in a bag. She mumbled something about a friend's emergency to the day nurse and ran out. She vanished for 2 days. While she was gone, Marcus finished everything. Accountants tracked every penny she stole. The trust was locked down. Divorce papers drawn up. Cheating, theft, cruelty. Pages and pages of proof attached. When Chloe finally dragged herself back, she looked 10 years older. Makeup couldn't hide the dark circles or the tight lines around her mouth. "We need to talk," she said, sitting stiffly across from me. Her voice was controlled, rehearsed. "David's wife. She's making crazy accusations. About us. Totally false, obviously. But with your condition, I didn't want you stressed." I just looked at her, amazed she could still lie like this. "Someone sent her fake stuff," she went on, watching me. "Doctored photos, fake texts. Is sick. David thinks maybe an old enemy did it." "That's worrying," I said, keeping my voice flat. "What kind of stuff?" She waved a hand. "Vile things. Not worth repeating. Just, if you hear anything, it's all lies." I nodded slowly. "Thanks for being honest, Chloe. Always valued that about you." Relief washed over her face for a second. "By the way," I added casually, "tried to move some money from our account yesterday. Bank said there's an issue." "Know anything?" She blinked, caught off guard. "No. Why would I? Just asking." "Oh, and this came for you while you were out." I handed her the thick legal envelope that was beside me. Her hands shook opening it. I watched her face crumble as she read the divorce papers, saw the first few pages of evidence, her own texts, photos of her at the hotel, quotes of her cruel words about me. "What is this?" she whispered, looking up, real shock in her eyes now. "Mark? I don't understand." I leaned forward in the wheelchair. "Don't you? Let me help. He's more useful unconscious than awake. Wish he'd just stay that way." "Sound familiar?" All the color left her face. You heard that. Heard it. Saw it. Everything. While you thought I was drugged into uselessness, I was building this. Every hotel trip. Every dollar you stole. Every lie. "This is crazy," she stammered. "You spied on me. That's illegal." A cold smile touched my lips. "Not with my security system. In my house. With the car registered in my name that you drove to meet him. But you know what is illegal? Stealing our money. And cheating? In this state, it matters in a divorce when you steal marital funds to do it." She jumped up, clutching the papers. "You can't do this. You need me. You can barely walk." Slowly, carefully, I pushed myself up out of the wheelchair. I took a step towards her. Then another, using just a cane. Her eyes went wide with disbelief. You lied? About how bad you were?" she gasped. "Learned from the best," I said, my voice like ice. "You have 48 hours. Get your personal things out of my house. Court already granted me temporary sole use. Your access to all our money? Cut off. Pending the investigation into the funds you borrowed." "Where am I supposed to go?" she cried, panic rising. "Not my problem. Maybe David can help?" "Oh wait, he's got his own dumpster fire to deal with. Last I heard, his law firm put him on leave. Ethics investigation. Something about billing clients for hours he spent elsewhere." Tears finally spilled. Not tears of regret. Tears of rage. Fear. "You've ruined me." "No," I said quietly. "You ruined yourself. I just made sure you faced the consequences." The next few months played out like a perfectly timed demolition. David's law firm, facing a scandal, cut him loose. Fired for cause. His reputation, built over 20 years, gone overnight. Emily, using her legal skills and my evidence, took him to the cleaners in the divorce. Restraining order kept him away. supervised visits with his kids, thanks to recordings of him mocking his own family. Chloe's world imploded. No money. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Friends backed away fast when parts of it became public court records, especially the things she said about me being disabled. She couch surfed for a while, but people stopped answering her calls as the full story got out. David, buried in his own mess, cut her off completely. His last text, caught before her phone got shut off for non-payment. "Don't contact me again. You cost me everything." Eventually, Chloe crawled back to her parents in Arizona. They'd never liked her lifestyle, always criticized her. Now they had proof they were right all along. My investigator's last report said she was working retail in a department store, living in her old childhood bedroom at 36. The divorce was final 6 months after I served her. The judge looked at the mountain of evidence, the cheating, the stealing, and gave me the house, the business assets, everything. Ordered Chloe to pay back the money she took. A debt she'd likely never repay, but it would shadow her forever. 1 year after the accident, I stood on my balcony, my house now truly mine, watching the sunset paint Lake Washington. My recovery, better than any doctor predicted. Still used a cane, probably always would. But I could walk, swim, run my company again. The house felt different. Emptier, yeah, but lighter. No trace of Chloe left. I'd redecorated, replaced things, erased the spaces where bad memories clung. The security system stayed, though most inside cameras were gone. Some wounds heal. Some trust, once broken, stays broken. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Final wage garnishment order approved for DC. Terminated from new job after judgment enforced. David had tried starting over at a smaller firm. That just ended, crushed by his past. Was it petty, keeping tabs on their downfall? Maybe. But sometimes, when a ghost of pain shot through my spine, when I remembered Chloe's voice, "Wish he'd just stay that way," I felt zero guilt for the wreckage I'd engineered. Some call it revenge. I thought of it as balancing the books, designing a consequence that fit the crime. They tried to profit from my weakness, mocked me when I was down, planned to use my vulnerability. Now they knew what it felt like. Alone, broke, reputation ruined. I took a sip of whiskey, watched the sky go dark. In my business, we say every system has a weakness. You find it before the other guy does. Chloe thought she found mine. She never saw the vulnerability she created in herself. Real power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's patience, observation, waiting for the right moment. I put down my glass, turned back inside. Somewhere out there, Chloe was learning what it felt like to be invisible, worthless. And I was here, standing, walking, living, the architect of my own recovery and her carefully built ruin. Some nights, like tonight, that felt like enough. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.